figures for aerodynamic drag. Nutrition was an important element to Lance's success. We changed the way in which we viewed nutrition. Before, we looked at nutrition very much as though, we would look at the macronutrients and the micronutrients that Lance would be eating. And what we did was we actually looked at the training that he was doing, because the nutritional demands change based upon the intensity or the duration of the workout. So we matched up the nutritional needs that Lance had based upon the training he was doing. So the psychological shift or philosophical shift that we made in the area of nutrition is you've got to look at nutrition as fuel. Fuel for this engine, the athletic engine. If you look at it any other way, you're really not going to maximize the capabilities. You've got to look at nutrition as fuel. Just as you stop, you've got to fill up your car with gasoline or ethanol here. And same thing with the athletic body. You've got to fill it up with good quality fuel. I'll go through the tools of training that we used during the course of Lance's 7 Tour de France victories. And then team, the component of his team, which was absolutely fantastic and got stronger year in and year out, was very important for Lance's victories. And then finally, coaching. Coaching is different than training. Coaching takes over where training stops. Coaching is an art. Training is a science. You need a mixture. Science only takes you to the point that's known, the aspects that are known that affect performance. Meaning, we know certain aspects, certain types of training, you're going to get these type of physiological responses. You know if you eat this type of food that you're going to be replenishing these your body's needs in these areas. That's all science. Very important stuff. But science only is based upon what is known, what you can quantify, what is known. Coaching is all about what's unknown. And that's where coaching really comes in, because it's not a science. It really is an art. It comes down to each athlete will respond differently to different motivations, to different ways to inspire the athlete. To get to know what an athlete is telling you by simply talking on the phone. The first 3 words out of Lance's voice over the phone, I could tell whether he's having a good day or he's having a bad day. Physiology, as I said, absolutely, fundamentally the most critical aspect for performance, if you're an endurance athlete, is your physiology. And if you're an endurance athlete, who knows what an endurance athlete is? When I say endurance athlete, what sports am I talking about?
Sports, the running, the cycling.
Long distance sports. Anybody else? Any other? All right. Marathons, Tour de France, stage races, adventure races. Those are all endurance sports. But you know what? I'll make it very simple. I'll say an endurance sport is any sport that lasts longer than 1 minute. Why? Why 1 minute? Well, after 1 minute,
Talk Portuguese and see it translate. Talk Portuguese. Fala português. O que não é anaeróbico. O que não é anaeróbico.
Alô? Oi. Então, eu acho que o que ele quis dizer é sobre qualquer atividade que passe de 1 minuto, porque ela deixa de ser anaeróbica. Como eu, por exemplo, competia quilômetro contra relógio. em track, em track.
Yeah. Yes. Technically, you're correct. Technically, from a physiological standpoint, but you're correct. But if you try to, I always like to keep it as simple as possible. Anaerobic, aerobic. What does that mean? And there's the scientific definition of that. But basically, to be able to say anything after a minute, your ability to produce power or speed, either one, and really in essence, power is the same as speed, is limited by the amount of lactic acid that slowly starts to build up. Your ability, or is limited by your ability to deliver oxygen to your muscles. There's a limiting factor. Anything after 1 minute. Why? Because each second after 1 minute, the limiting factor becomes your ability to deliver that oxygen to the working muscles. Very simple. So, physiologically, as I said, an endurance sport, it's your ability to deliver oxygen to your working muscles. I want to give you a snapshot of Lance and how fortunate I was from a physiological standpoint. I'd say I'm a basic mechanic. I'm a basic mechanic who was able to work on a Ferrari. I was very fortunate because he was very much a Ferrari. And this is an example of what I mean. Okay, this right here. VO2 max. This was 10 days after Lance won the world championship title, professional world championship title, at 21 years old in Oslo, Norway. This was done in Colorado Springs at roughly 2,000 meters, 6,000 feet of altitude, meaning you would expect to see that to drop. Now, 1999, Lance did this VO2 test at you're at very high altitude. How he's able to extract that oxygen and utilize that oxygen with every liter he's taking, what he's able to produce is amazing. And is basically, still to this day, sports scientists are dumbfounded by looking at this figure and this figure, meaning that at altitude and at sea level, they're virtually the same, VO2 max. So his ability to utilize oxygen at altitude, his pulmonary functions are incredible. So we did this testing at right after the World Championships. Then in '99 we did a lot more. But I wanted to show you how fortunate I was to work with Lance's physiology. He was a Ferrari, and I was a mere mechanic to be able to work with this Ferrari. Field testing markers. We would basically conduct field tests every 8 to 12 weeks during the course of Lance's training program that we put together for the Tour de France. And you can see here, this is February 2001, February 2002, 2003, February 2004, and then that's March, just after March. This test was always done right before the opening race on the European professional calendar called Paris-Nice. It's a 7-day stage race from Paris to Nice. We'd always do a field test. The markers that we were looking for, very simple. We used a power meter. Power meter is attached to his bike. It was an SRM. I'll get into that on the tools of the trade. And we'd have him do a test. Basically, it would last roughly about 20 minutes, and we'd look for the maximum average power he could sustain. We'd look at other markers too, but you could see in 2001, he was about 480 watts for this roughly 20-minute test. Now, you look at the other markers. We're also looking at the kilograms that he weighed, 77.2 kilograms. You're able to divide we're able to get watts per